Hello YouTube and people of the interwebs, welcome back to another video. Today we are joined by...
Me, hello. Tharries, nice to see you. It's been a while since I've been on here. It doesn't feel like... It feels like I've been on here a bunch of times, but it's been a while since the last one. Can you remember?
Yeah.
I
I don't know when the last time... I haven't done... I used to do like loads of collab videos, but I haven't actually done like a big... Not a big collab, but like a collab video in a very long time. So it's... Yeah. And I've saved this. Tharries doesn't know I got it.
Oh.
Got a hostage.
Oh, you got my hostage. There he is, Dennis, no.
Dennis from the Tharries channel is being held hostage at Confused Adipose HQ currently. And let us know in the comments whether you think you should stay with me or Tharries.
Free my man. Free my man.
That'll decide whether I actually give him his Cyberman back.
Yeah, he just steals my property occasionally. He just like
it's
not arranged. He'll just come into like my house and go, "That I'll take that for a bit." So if anything ever goes missing off my desk, you know why? It's just
it's mine now. What can we say? Anyway, we'll stop getting sidetracked and actually jump into the video because we have some big headlining news. And if you want the full breakdown of this news, as ever, head over to the Thomas Harry's YouTube channel. There'll be a link to his latest video. Link to his latest video in the description. Yeah, do you want to talk us quickly through what has happened this very evening?
Well, yeah, so just this evening I think about 7 o'clock-ish, just before 7, there was a little transitional teaser between, I think, Strictly and one of the other shows on BBC One, much in the same vein as what we were getting around April, May time prior to the Eurovision trailer, if any of you remember that. It's basically a short clip of some binary code underscored by basically a reversed version of the Doctor Who theme, presumably the 2008 one. And yeah, basically, it's one of those things where the fans have got to translate the code. What does it mean? Because I know in some of the previous ones, there were like little video clips of like, oh, here's Donna and the Doctor kind of, you know, that one where they're like hiding from that thing. With like they didn't do that. It's just binary code. But what the binary code reveals is very cool because it basically does confirm trailer in a week's time, which is incredibly exciting. 23rd of September. I'm hyped. Looking forward to it.
It's 2 months, isn't it? 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months.
It'll be 2 months till the 60th
anniversary. So it's perfect timing. So it's exactly, which is very like them to kind of do not only Strictly but also tie it into having it be exactly 2 months. It's very like on the dot, which is very Doctor Who to do that.
It gives enough time because like Russell keeps talking in Doctor Who magazine about like the big marketing plan and all of it. I reckon come the 23rd, the next 2 months are going to be non-stop. Doctor Who, promotion.
Yeah.
I did see someone on Twitter, I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about a bunch of things are releasing as well, like Big Finish.
Yes, I saw
Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday. It definitely feels like, I love how you couldn't finish saying that without laughing. Oh, that says it all, really, doesn't it? That says it all. You don't even need to say anything. That just crystallizes Doomsday.
What are your thoughts on Doomsday quickly? We'll get that out there in public.
Right. I mean, I haven't listened to much of it or interacted with much of it. I guess the thing is, it could have been decent. It just wasn't advertised well. I think that's the real thing that sort of scuppered it from day one. Apologies if you can hear my kitchen, by the way. There's someone in the kitchen. But yeah, they kind of scuppered it from day one because it was odd. Because with like a lot of Doctor Who multimedia stuff, it's normally catered towards sad nerds like us. But then you look at the Doomsday trailer, and it's quite like CBBC-ish.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like there's a mixed message there of who it's for.
The age-old Doctor Who problem of they did not give it any budget at all.
Yes, yeah.
Because they've given it no budget, it does. Yeah, it's just bizarre, and also like the whole characterization of this is supposed to be the most deadly assassin ever, and I don't know, the actress, like I've seen on Twitter, she seems lovely. No hate against her, but
no beef.
I don't buy it. I don't see that and go, that's the most
thing is, they could have made it so that it was like, oh, this is kind of like a sarcastic thing, like she thinks she's the greatest assassin, and then it's actually this really sweet lady. That'd be quite a fun little sort of dynamic. But it doesn't read as intentional. Do you know what I mean? It reads as that's just an oversight on her part. She's meant to be this deadly assassin.
It doesn't quite hit, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll go back to the topic at hand. The binary, I've written down the exact translations here.
Yes.
It says, their time has come. And then Saturday, 23rd of September, BBC One, 6:10. So,
yes,
their time has come. That is just generic marketing talk. But do you think there's anything more behind that?
Well, I mean, from an outside the universe perspective, I could see us getting air dates. Out their time has come. They let us know the time that it's out. I think that makes sense. We're close enough now to the point where I feel like they can tell us the air dates. We're only like 2 months out. So I think I think there's enough. Obviously, they'll probably have enough of an idea of what the schedules are going to look like to tell us, hey, this is when to expect them. So beyond that, I could see it being, I don't know, it's very sort of, what's going to happen, marketing talk, but I think it's the sort of combination of the binary code and that line very much sort of indicates that it's going to be a follow-up to Journey's End, in a sense. That whole thing with the binary, you know, all of that. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my assumption would be, maybe slightly to tie into that, like almost the continuation of that story from God knows how long ago. Like,
I do wonder how much of that is going to like play into the 60th, because obviously at the time there were so many coincidences, like Donna's granddad meeting the Doctor, and then Donna bumping into the Doctor twice, and then the car being
it's played like fate, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then there is the line from the trailer for the 60th where it's like, I don't believe in destiny, but if destiny exists, it's headed for Donna Noble and all that. So I reckon there is a high chance they are going to sort of tie it all back and say maybe it wasn't Dalek Khan who was pulling the strings all those years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Toymaker, or maybe the Toymaker. Yeah. Well, that's another question. Is it the Toymaker? It's got to be.
I think so, because they've been doing the Who Spy thing where they've been like posting the random little promotional images, and their latest one was like a clown engraved into like some wood or something like that, like a wooden door frame. Which looks very similar to the one from the Celestial Toymaker. So either it's like a big red herring, or it's definitely the Toymaker. I think I don't see why you would say it's the Toymaker and then have it not be the Toymaker. So I doubt they're lying about that or being misleading about that. I do think it probably is the Toymaker at this point. It just makes sense for it to be the Toymaker.
The greatest double bluff of all time. If it's not actually but then also I feel like everyone kind of wants it to be. I do.
Yeah.
It's like it's not.
He makes perfect sense for an anniversary villain. Like, he's from the first Doctor's era. Like, he's one of those villains that like has never come back in like the new series. And he's also just like one of those ones that's like big scale. And also I don't remember where I heard this from, but apparently like one of the original ideas for the first regeneration was for the Toymaker to be the one to change the face. So now that we've got David Tennant back, tying that all in again, it makes perfect sense for it to be the Toymaker. So I'd be very surprised to know, it's actually the Rani, actually.
I looked into that as well, and it is accurate that when there was all the production troubles back in like the Hartnell era, William Hartnell, like the director or writer or whoever it was, producer, was kind of like, we need to get him gone. Because well, there was like the actors walked out on set one day because he was just doing all of their heads in and stuff. So they were like, how do we keep the show going because it's so popular? And they were like, well, in the story, what actually happened, the Doctor gets turned invisible because William Hart's on holiday, and then they were going to bring him back after being invisible with a new face and say that the Toymaker controlled him and all that. And that, as you say, tying that in is almost a genius idea, because that is an integral part of the show's history, which never actually happened. But Doctor Who's always about like, oh, this timeline happens here.
And it happens all the time with like sort of Doctor Who taking like dropped ideas and then kind of, we'll use that later on. You know, like Russell's spoken a bunch about how like some of his early ideas for like series 1 was the first companion of his new era being like an older woman who was like a window cleaner type thing, and one of the set pieces was going to be they're on that weird, like one of those weird things where you go down to clean windows, and then that basically got reused in like series 4 with the Doctor and Donna partners in crime. So it's very Russell to take something from the past and kind of be like, judge it up a bit, kind of do it in the modern way and then twist it. I mean, that's exactly what's happening with like Beat the Meep as well. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
basically just
that is like taking things from the past. You've got the comics like the Star Beast, and obviously I haven't said it on YouTube, but the news has been out there. It's official now. Miriam Margolyes is Beep the Meep.
Oh, she's gonna be so great. I've been watching some clips just to get in the mood for it. She's like, she just embodies the personality of Beep the Meep, that sort of cheeky kind of energy of like, you never quite know what they're gonna say, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're so like sort of, she's so like sweet and unassuming as well. When you look at her, she's like so nice, and then she'll come out with all sorts of things, which feels very perfect casting wise for Beep the Meep, who is very. Oh,
Yeah, I also think
he's this sweet little thing, but
it would be fantastic to have like the first actual swearing in Doctor Who, like proper swearing, to just be, oh, it's this nice little bunny rabbit with the voice of Miriam Margolyes. Then at that midway part of the story, just I'm genocidal maniac with a gun, like that. That would be a fantastic villain, and that is also the most Russell thing ever. Like,
yes, no, Beep the Meep with Russell, that's going to be incredibly fun. Just watch. I can see the scenes now. I could see Donna's reactions. I could see Beep the Meep taking the mick out of Donna and the Doctor and her just not having it. Like, it's it lends itself very well to Russell. But I like the idea that you were saying about how the Toymaker was basically pulling the strings of the Doctor Donna dynamic the whole time. I think that's really cool, because it also calls back to Missy with Clara, how it's kind of established in when is it established? I'm not sure. Series 8, I think, that she was the one at the call agency.
Yeah.
Yes, she was the one at the call agency who patched Clara through to the 11th Doctor when he was in like Monkland or wherever it was. I don't remember. And it was like, yeah, basically she was the one pulling the strings of that dynamic. So sort of again bringing that back, but doing it with the Toymaker, who's even more kind of mysterious and kind of, you know, we've not seen the Toymakers since their original appearance. There were plans, but like we've not seen them since. Makes total sense. And also in terms of like bringing back the Doctor's face, that is the face that can trigger Donna's explodey head. You know, that's the thing that, you know, is going to set. Yeah, that's the thing that's going to set all these conflicts into motion. And I definitely think the Toymaker will be aware of that thing. And I'd be very surprised if he wasn't the one being like, yes, I'll put this and this together so we can create chaos and mayhem and destruction.
His ultimate plan is what's going to be, I think, fascinating, because I reckon he will be the thread that goes throughout the 3 episodes.
I imagine so.
I think Beep the Meep is going to be the star of episode 1. Then we'll touch on Wild Blue Yonder in a minute, because that's our next little topic of discussion, because who's the villain of that going to be? But then the third one, I think, big finale, Neil Patrick Harris Toymaker, ties it all together. And I do wonder if like Beep the Meep's going to be done in episode 1, or if he'll play into all 3 episodes. Like, how serial will it be?
Well, I did wonder, one of the things I wondered early on, and obviously I don't know whether it'll be done like this, it might not be, but I did sort of think, like, with the Beep the Meep being an older sort of character from the Doctor's past, it'd be cool if the Toymaker was actually the one to reanimate Beep the Meep in the first place. So it's like, oh, this is familiar to me somehow, and it could kind of play into the Doctor's whole memory thing of, I don't really know who I am anymore. All of that in like the 60th trailers, you know, sort of playing on the Doctor's memory by incorporating these familiar elements, but it's not quite right, which is why as well I did a recent video on this, subtle plug.
Promotion.
If you look at Yasmin Finney's character, Rose Noble, she's meant to be 15. Of course, we know 15 years haven't passed since like 2009, 10ish, when we would assume she would be born, so she'd be about 13. So there's a bit of a dating discrepancy there. Now you could say might just be a mistake. It might be, but it could also be part of this world that's not quite what we think it is. You know what I mean? There could be more to it.
Yeah, because I wonder as well about the dynamic of the Noble family as a whole. Like Sean's, I think Russell, I can't remember exactly what he said, something in Doctor Who magazine about Sean's backstory or something. Like, I don't think it was a comment, but like, where I'm very excited to see how the family's doing after all these years, especially Jacqueline Wilson as Sylvia. Like, is she going to treat her granddaughter the way she treated her daughter, or will the Doctor's influence of being like, oh, maybe
I like to think the Doctor's influence would have made her really nice to Yasmin Finney's character. I think that would be perfect character development. But But yeah, I wonder where the lottery money's gone. That's the thing where I'm like, oh, I wonder where that's gone. Because I don't think Russell would just forget like the lottery money happened.
Yeah.
But maybe that's another way of kind of indicating, hang on, they won money in the original.
But I reckon
series.
Because of just the nature of who Donna is, the family will be comfortable, but I reckon she'll have given a lot of that money to charity. And I was thinking maybe they're going to do like because Ace has a charitable Earth thing.
Yes.
Maybe she's given it, or maybe they've given it to Unit to rebuild after Power of the Doctor.
I was also thinking there was a thing. There was a thing with, if you remember, do you remember that sort of 60th scene that was like reconstructed online? There was a line of dialogue in that scene, you know, when Yasmin Finney's Rose first meets the Doctor and Donna and that, about like something from Donna about Yasmin Finney getting all these packages from like abroad or something like that. From like, I don't remember where she says, but basically like it's implied that, you know, perhaps Yasmin Finney like was like spending money on weird, useless things, which could go some way to explain as well where the money went. Like, oh, if she's like being quite reckless with it and like
spent an entire lottery winning from her mum on random stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that almost feels like perfect for like a teen character as well to be like, yeah, but look at this cool thing.
I don't know. I don't think we're gonna. The first thing we'll see of this character is she spent all her mum's lottery money. Anyway,
maybe not all of it, but you know what I mean. Like she might have like been overly sort of extravagant over the last few years, and maybe that's why they're not minted like they sort of were employed to be by the end of Time Part 2. Like you say, still all right and comfortable, but just not super lavish.
I reckon there's the possibility as well, because I think it was a potential leak. I can't remember, but it might have been a theory that I read. But Bernard Cribbins is being looked after by certain members of Unit.
Yeah, I did hear something about
like that. Maybe some of that money has gone towards Unit to keep protecting Earth.
To be fair, like I mean, they've had a terrible time of it these last few years. So I mean, they probably need that money. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Like they basically collapsed during the events of Flux because of the snake guy. I don't remember his name. The grandson, that was it.
The guy from Line of Duty.
Yeah, that one. They basically collapsed because of that, and then obviously in Power of the Doctor they have this new swanky office. And then that gets flattened to bits.
We've got a guest star walking into.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, George.
There's your screen time. Get out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is. So
please keep that in.
I will. Anyway, the 60th anniversary.
Yeah, no, what I was trying to say was Unit are fully restored in the 60th. Like they're fully army again, very RTD1, like very military, you know, like sort of a proper operation again. So it would make sense if like the money was going towards them to help sort of refund them after like the numerous times they've been, you know, Brexit, that also happened.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Brexit.
I forgot about that.
That
was rather pointless thinking about it in retrospect, but there wasn't really good. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been something really interesting done with it, but then they did the Grand Serpent plotline, which was just kind of like, because also, what happened? Didn't he just get put on a rock or something?
I think so. Yeah. He's just sort of there, which is certainly a thing. But what were we saying?
Anyway,
they seem fully.
We'll move on to Wild Blue Yonder, because that's the second special. We've got Beep for the first one. And then what's happening in the second one? Like, we don't actually have a clue on anything. We've seen about 4 shots from it, which just seems to be sort of an interior of a spaceship. But I reckon this, because Russell said as well in Doctor Who magazine, he was like, I have a dream that episode could be, no one has any idea of what's happening until it broadcasts, which I think we are headed for that. Like, what do you hope? And what
they've deliberately kept it hidden. I mean, there's that shot, isn't there, that was released by, I think, Entertainment Weekly originally, and it's been reposted since, of the TARDIS being all smoky explosions again, which is funny because, you know, the Doctor deliberately didn't regenerate inside of it this time, only for it to end up exploding again anyway. So, the TARDIS, doesn't have much luck either. Yeah, I know, the TARDIS goes through it, man. But we had that shot of the TARDIS being all exploding, and it looks like they're on, as you said, some sort of alien spaceship. I know everyone's going to sort of think of like, oh, big surprises. I'm sort of imagining something a bit more somewhat Midnight-esque in its approach, where it'll be like the Doctor and Donna trapped on this ship, you know, they kind of have it out with each other. You know, why did you leave? Why did you replace my memory? Da, 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 da. Well, I had to. They have that conversation essentially. All the while, something's going on. Maybe the Toymaker's there kind of manipulating events, sort of maybe shutting off parts of the ship so that they're like struggling to survive or something like that. And then meanwhile, I don't know, you can have basically any villain. Yeah, I think it could be something like that. Like, I think it could also be quite weird. I can imagine like it not being, because they've been very secretive with it, with all those glitches and stuff. It feels like they're hiding something big that they don't want us to see. But I get the feeling it'll be the weirdest episode of the three, because if you think about it, the Beep the Meep one feels pretty like, we know what we're getting there. It's going to kind of be this kind of reintroduction of the world.
Welcome back, like the this is
and
the
Giggle.
Quirkiness.
The Giggle, I imagine, is going to be, it's a big Russell finale with all this stuff going on. Wobbly Yonder, I think, will be the weirdest of the three. Oddly, like, I keep getting like Stephen Moffat vibes from it. I'm not saying he wrote it. I don't think he did. I think they're all done by Russell, but he sort of, you know what I mean? It gives me quite like heaven sent-y. Oh, this is something weird about this, but it's quite claustrophobic.
I wonder if there's going to be any multi-Doctor stuff at all, like Matt Smith or whoever. I reckon Wild Blue Yonder is probably where it will take place, because I don't think Russell's going to go for, like, in the Giggle, I don't think there's going to be every Doctor, because then it's just the Doctor again, and we've seen that. But if
it would feel a bit out of nowhere as well, if they just popped up out of nowhere, you know, like
if there is some of the Doctor stuff, it will, I reckon, be Wild Blue Yonder. But I reckon also, this is the thing. Obviously, you're a Matt Smith, big Matt Smith fan. I think David's overtaken as your favourite Doctor. But
recently,
but
he's my childhood guy. He's my childhood boy.
Do you reckon he's in it? If any of them are, it's probably
going to be him. I'd love to say I think he's going to be in it. If he were to be in it, right, and I've said this from the beginning, I can imagine it being in a sort of headspace thing for the 14th Doctor. Because when you think about the 10th and the 11th Doctors, they are basically two sides of the same coin. The 10th Doctor's like, I don't want to leave. I love this body. I don't want to die. And 11 is like, you know what? Change is good, actually.
You know what? I'll go. I'll die.
Yeah. You know what? Like, but I think if any Doctor could talk the 14th Doctor out of maybe keeping their body, if that was an ultimatum for the Doctor, probably would be Smith. Realistically, I could kind of imagine a scene in which there's sort of like a mind space thing, very similar to Guardians of the Edge, where it's like, you've come back again, or something like that. You never learn, do you?
But then that's the only thing with this, though, is if Smith is the only one there, does it not just feel a bit out of place? Is it better to have no returning Doctors than just one? Especially, as you mentioned, Day of the Doctor. We've been there, done that. We've seen that combination of Doctor. I suppose, it's like Capaldi. As much as I love him, I don't think he's going to come back for it, is he? Like, he's said constantly, and obviously actors lie. Also, Eccleston, he's not coming back.
He's not coming back, especially not under Russell. If it was someone else writing it, you might have had more of a chance, because he has opened up to like Big Finish since, but not with Russell. There's like no way, because he's the one that they seem to have beef with. You know, like he seems.
Well, I don't think it's just Russell. I think it's
that team. I mean,
because they're the same people as 2005.
Yeah, exactly.
Julie Gardner, Phil Tomlinson, etc. Jane Tranter. I think they're all back. So maybe that's which is a shame. And then Jodie was pregnant when they filmed it.
I believe she was. Yeah. So like. That's the thing. It's like I know a lot of people imagine when they kind of construct anniversaries in their heads, like every Doctor shows up with like a bunch of different companions. But I think that's very difficult to pull off in a satisfying way, because obviously it's hard to give them all equal screen time. It's hard to make them feel all like their authentic selves. But also beyond that, it's not really feasible, because actors don't work like that. You know, we're kind of very lucky as it is that Tennant is so willing to come back and gel his hair up in the way that he always did, and you know, put on some Converse and go, right, where do you want me? Where do I stand? Whereas, you know, for some other Doctors, that's not something they want to do, and obviously that's completely fair enough. You know, none of them should have to do anything like that. But I do think, like, when the one multi-Doctor element I 100% expect there to be is going to be Ncuti and David
definitely
screen time. I'm expecting that, and I think that'll be fun in of itself, because you're going to kind of get to see the old face kind of come together with this kind of bright new interpretation of the Doctor, and I think that'll really help people with the changeover as well.
The only thing with that, though, that worries me slightly is Ncuti is almost not going to have his first moments as the Doctor, like, you know. But then I suppose we've had it so many times, the whole post-regeneration crazy, all this. Will he actually get that on screen? Because
I think we're probably going to circumvent.
Played out,
I think we're probably, if he shows up in the 60th, which he definitely will, because we've seen it in the trailers. I don't imagine his first episode is going to be, whoa, I don't know who I am, I'm the Doctor, because we've done that loads of times, and B, we will have just done that again with David, because he seems to have some sort of memory. Like, memory seems to be a very big theme of these episodes, because you've got the Doctor's memory not being what it was. Obviously, Donna lost the memory of the Doctor, and that's sort of coming back into it. And that's been made very, very heavy. So I doubt we'll have another Christmas episode of, I don't know who the Doctor is, I don't know what to do. I imagine Christmas-wise, it'll be a very Christopher Eccleston situation where he'll rock up to a thing, to an event that's going on.
Cause some havoc, and then
I'm the Doctor.
Ruby will be taken away. And off
we just go with it, But I think if there's any multi-Doctor element I know is probably going to happen, it's going to be those two interacting, which will be fun in and of itself. And I think it kind of reminds me of sort of a bigger version of what we had in the 50th, where you have that very brief glimpse of Peter Capaldi with the eyes when he goes to save Gallifrey, but more of an interaction between the literal past and like the future. I think that's quite nice. And I think as well, like a lot of people have said it, when it comes to things like End of Time, there was a lot of resistance from the 10th Doctor wanting to go, you know, that whole line about he sauntered off away into my TARDIS and I'm gone, you know, that whole line and stuff. And I think a lot of people kind of struggled to see like any future Doctor the same after that. So I think having David to be there to be like, I actually quite like you, you know, I like this one. It might sort of ease people in to, you know, not just David Tennant, if you know what I mean. I think same way
it definitely
they did in Deep Breath.
It needs to do something new. And I think this is new. Like, because as well, how many times, as I say, how many times can you see the Doctor go, I've got a new face, whoa, what's going on? Like, after a while, it gets a bit played out. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they approach having Ncuti in this new era and going forward. Is it going to be, are we ever going to know his like origins, and what are his origins? Because does Tennant regenerate into him? Or is there another whole thing going on? Because there's theories about this and the Toymaker splitting a regeneration. And there's so many questions.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, I don't think this regeneration from 14 to 15, however they change it over, I don't think it's going to be a conventional David Tennant stumbles back to the TARDIS, sort of looks at his hand and goes, right, time to be the new one. Like, I can imagine it being a bit more out there than that, I suppose, because like even with the regeneration from 13 to David's 14, it's obvious it's not right. Like, you've got David looking at his clothes, you've got him sort of being like, what the hell is this? You know, so like I don't imagine it'll just be a simple yellow globe, it's the 15th Doctor. Like I could see it being a bit more, I don't know, perhaps a bit more like abstract. Is that the word I'd use? Like something a bit more.
I reckon. Do you reckon there's there was the whole drama on Twitter, good old Twitter, well X, as Elon wants it to be called. But there was this whole thing about the 14th Doctor's clothes, because obviously for the first time since the first Doctor, the clothes regenerated with the body, and obviously the in-universe reason for that is Russell saying he knew that newspapers like The Sun would take it out of context and like humiliate David Tennant, the Doctor in women's clothing and all of that, and his thoughts on like respecting drag culture, etc., which I think are very interesting. But also the problem with that is that going to be canonically explained? Because I imagine so. Are going like, what's going on there? And if his clothes changed, there's the Toymaker's got to be doing something. Because he looks, doesn't he? He looks directly at the clothes, being like, and the thing is, it is like his original suit, but it's not quite, which I think kind of leans into that whole sort of Toymaker thing, because
if it was just 13 regenerates and it's just Tennant as he was in like his own era, you could maybe argue then it was more, I don't know, more traditional in that way. It'd still be weird that the clothes change, but it's obvious with that, like, with the fact that the clothes aren't the same exactly as how they were, it gives the vibe of someone remembering how the Doctor used to be and how Doctor Who used to be, but not quite fully getting it, like sort of picturing something in your mind. So I think maybe that's why where the Toymaker comes into it. He's not reconstructing the Doctor exactly how they were, but like sort of from memory kind of thing. And they actually do have, in the very first picture we see of Neil Patrick Harris's Toymaker, he's in the same sort of tartan waistcoat kind of thing. So I was sort of wondering like if they play on that and be like, oh, he's kind of this like overzealous, almost like a sort of insert for fans being like, I want the Doctor to dress a bit like me, so I'm going to make it tartan instead, and all of this. I think the clothes changing is going to be explained. Like, and as well, we see Shooty in the teaser in what looks to be the remains of the 14 outfit. So yeah, I definitely think there's something going on there. 100%.
I think bringing this sort of point to a close as well on multi-doctors, I think what's the verdict? No, probably not, apart from Tennant.
I'm not convinced, but I'd love to be wrong. I think is where I'm at. Like, if it happens, I'll be over the moon. You know, I'll especially Smith, obviously, because he's
just something favorite. Small from Smith would be so nice and gratifying.
I guess the trouble is for like Russell and for like anyone who was going to make an anniversary at this time is that we just had Power, and Power already did the ethereal. Oh, look, it's the past Doctors in like this mind palace thing. Like we just had that like the last episode, so it kind of puts Russell in the position of, how do you do that again without it just coming across as like a redo?
There's only so many times you can do multi-Doctor stories as well. And I feel like, obviously, the 60th, it is a big anniversary, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not 50th levels.
50th and 75th, I'd say, is the next time. You almost need a multi-Doctor story. But we've had Twice Upon a Time as well, which obviously that was exciting, but that was a multi-Doctor story, and it just didn't hit that. Do you know what I mean? It didn't hit the same as like.
I think the more you do them, on screen, the less special they are. I think the more you do, and like not even just on the show, like Big Finish makes a new one every week, and I do think, for me, and I think I've said this to you before when we've like spoken elsewhere, like the magic of seeing other Doctors interact is kind of being a little bit like taken away from me a little bit, not completely, but it's not as exciting as it like sort of once was, you know, especially in this age of like everyone coming back for everything, not just Doctor Who, but all forms of media. I think focusing in on one, in this case, might actually lead to a more compelling narrative than just let's just throw everyone in, you know, see what story comes out of that. I think constructing a story around one specific Doctor, which I know some people will cry foul at, I think it could lead to something more coherent than just let's just throw everyone in.
Especially because as well, whether people like it or not, because he's not my favourite, but Tennant is the favourite of the public and of, like, if you walk down the street and ask someone who's Doctor Who, they'll go David Tennant, or if they're like 80, they'll go Tom Baker.
It's like he is the modern Tom. Like, that's what he is.
And
he's like the modern face.
Like, on that, him being the modern Tom, I recently was like rewatching some of the Tom Baker era. They are the same. Their face, the eyes, and little, like they do that thing with the tongue,
the well,
with their teeth, and the whole. It is bizarre how much Tennant and Tom Baker, and it's why I'm really excited for Shooty as well, because I feel like that's like the Doctor that we know, but I feel like Shooty is going to be as popular and do something different. It's not just going to be, and there's nothing wrong with the Tennant or Tom Baker, because I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. Peter Capaldi does it to an extent, but I think Shooty, there's going to be new energy and new, not just the same, like, oh, this is the Doctor that we've always known. It's going to feel like that, but have
the perspective as well will help with that. I think the perspective of, because I think he said for Rolling Stone, like, when I sort of heard about, like, he said something like, when I watched Doctor Who and I sort of saw the Time War, and I saw, you know, that the Doctor was basically escaped to genocide and stuff of their people, he thought, you know, being someone from like Rwanda, like that's me. Like that happened to me, and that's not a perspective we've really seen with a Doctor before.
Yeah.
And I think just stuff like that is going to go a long way in differentiating 15 from the others. That new, fresh perspective, and that's why I'm really excited for 15. And I think that's why seeing the two interact is going to be very fun. And I think what we were saying earlier about sort of refreshing the multi-Doctor dynamic, seeing a future Doctor that we haven't fully met yet interacting with a Doctor that we are very familiar with is new territory. It's not been done in that order before. Normally we know
it's going to be
each Doctor is.
Like a nice passing of the baton, to be like,
yes,
it's the favourite giving it to who will hopefully become the new favourite, and then it'll get all the public back and everyone. It'll be cool again, please, Russell.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, because at the moment it's semi-popular, but like for example at uni, there's only about 2 or 3 people I know that keep up with it every episode that comes out, unless it's me forcing them to watch it. Whereas I feel like I want it to be that Stranger Things effect, or like what other shows are on at the moment where everyone
like
just
Good Omens was like everywhere for a bit.
Yeah, it needs to be that, like kids going into school and everyone going, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it?" Okay, so we've discussed basically what's happening with the Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder, but the final 3rd episode of the 60th, The Giggle, which I'm still not sold on the title.
I quite like it because it's like unconventional. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of almost like
not like other girls. No, it's strange.
No,
it's too strange.
I think. But I like that it's strange because it's almost like the giggle kind of implies that it's giggling to itself, like it's hiding stuff. Like it knows more than it's letting on. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I'm in an English literature lesson.
Possibly.
You're the
one who wanted to talk about the title. Well, you're the one who was like, not sure. I don't know. I think it's good. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people look at it next to like the Power of the Doctor or the End of Time or Time of the Doctor as like this is the big ending episode of this like Doctor. But I suppose he's not a conventional Doctor, so having a big title like the something of the Doctor probably wouldn't really hit the same.
I don't think it's even just for that. It's more for the 60th, and I mean, as long as the story's good, you can call it whatever you like, because I think a title isn't that important. It's nice, but what matters is whether the story's good, and it's Russell writing, so I reckon it will be. But yeah, also, people in the comments, let us know your thoughts, because everyone seems to have drastically different opinions. I've seen people that absolutely hate it, people that love it, and then people kind of like us who are, it's okay, but...
I quite like it. I can say I quite like it, you know?
I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't hear it and go, oh, what is that? I don't know. There's something odd about like, oh yeah, what episode did David Tennant regenerate it? The Giggle. It's you've got like what's it called? The 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, Day of the Doctor, The Giggle. Do you know what I mean? It's like a bit but you are right.
I guess so. If it's one part of like a bigger story as well, it's like it's not really as important. Like if say for example we were only getting one story and that was called The Giggle, I'd probably understand a bit more why people were like, that does look a bit weird in the lineup. Considering it's like basically a trilogy, you know, it's like someone was saying this to me, like the Star Beast is the first act, the Wild Blue Yonder is the sort of weird second act where things go balmy, and then the third act being the big finale. Like it makes sense.
I wonder if I give it like a subtitle. Like, you know how Flux is called Doctor Who Flux?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I can see them just calling it, like, this is really boring, but I could so just see them calling them the 60th specials.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when it comes to like releases and stuff, because don't they just call the Tennant specials the 2009 specials?
I think
because that's when they came out.
Yeah.
So I could just see them being called the 60th specials.
And
although, I'm fine with that. I do wonder. This is something I've been wondering for a while. We don't really know what's going on with Disney Plus yet. This is something I just thought about. Like, are they just going to put like the 60th specials on their own? Because that feels a bit
random.
That's a bit weird to like lose all that context for like new viewers. Like, it'd be surprising to me if they didn't put like at least series 4 on there. So you've got like the gist.
That's the thing as well, though. Like, are you going to need the context of watching series 4 to understand where this picks up? I feel like you'll probably understand it if you haven't seen series 4, but it won't hit.
You'd probably benefit a lot from seeing where all this came from.
But yeah, anyway, right. So theories for the Giggle. You said something which I haven't really looked into this, but people online have been saying it. This first
Yes.
TV broadcast or whatever it is, take the
So
stage.
basically, basically the idea is, if you remember back to the last trailer that we had for May for Eurovision, there was like a weird puppet on a screen, and David Tennant was like, "He's here, driving you mad, laughing at the human race," and that puppet bears a striking resemblance.
I'm clearly still.
Hi, George.
Everyone in the comments, can you type hashtag, I don't know, get rid of George?
Yeah, what we're saying to Giggle. Yeah, basically the puppet seems to be Stooky Bill, which is the puppet that was used for the very first TV broadcast, which looked horrifying, by the way, because it was apparently something to do with the fact that like it was so hot to record footage at that time. Like the technology would overheat so easily that they didn't want to use a human. They didn't want to put a human in front of it, so they sort of did a puppet instead. So the idea is, obviously with Tennant's line, "He's here driving you mad, laughing at the human race," that the Toymaker would presumably have something to do with the creation of TV. And obviously the guy who created TV is John Logie Baird. So maybe he either does like a master and just takes his place a la Rasputin, or like sort of manipulates him in a certain way. Because we see as well in some of the filming way back, if you remember Camden Market, it's like 1920s sort of era, which is very sort of similar era to when that took place.
They were shooting the 1920s stuff when I got to go to Bristol and actually watch Tennant and Tate from afar doing their thing. There was like the old toy shop, and there were loads of extras, loads of old-fashioned cars, and there were posters everywhere that were like advertising a circus and a bunch of 1920s stuff. Yeah,
so I could see maybe the Toymaker going back in time and basically corrupting like TV in some way, because as well it's very RTD. RTD has spoken at length that like how much he loves TV in particular, and obviously it's like Doctor Who is celebrating 60 years on TV, so tying it back to that I think makes total sense. It makes total sense, and could like be a good commentary on how our people are just so stuck to their screens they can't see what's going on around them and all that sort of stuff. Boomer stuff.
But no, I get what you mean. I think that is a fascinating idea, because obviously I didn't know like the history of that much before you talked about it. But that's something, because it's real world as well, which is nice. There's the whole like Agatha Christie stuff that Russell has done ages ago, where it's a real world, not mystery, but like a real world event, and giving it new Doctor Who-y context is very interesting. And it gives all of us fans one of those annoying nerd things to go, well, did you know how the TV is first broadcast happened?
And also puppet is very like a puppet being the thing that's first broadcast. It ties very nicely into having a villain called the Celestial Toymaker, because it is basically a toy that was the thing that was first broadcast. So like it makes total sense. I think it'll be something to do with that, and that's why you see all the chaos going on around the streets, why basically TV's corrupted the minds of everyone, and everyone's acting crazy.
That whole thing where they're all scrapping each other in the streets. Isn't everyone dancing? Yeah, everyone's supposed to be filled with some sort of uncontrollable rage or something, because it doesn't look like a normal riot. Like the Doctor's all pushing them apart, being like, "Stop!" and they can't. And it's almost like he's done something to change human history, or I don't know, change emotion, or it's difficult to pinpoint the actual story. But I think that aspect of it being the first sort of bits of TV, that's definitely
because there was also that one guy holding a sign as well that was saying like the end is near. So maybe he convinces everyone the world's going to end via the means of TV that he set up, way back when, to basically act as this kind of. And as well, thinking about it, if you remember back to End of Time Part 2, seeing the Master's face go on to everyone and all that chaos ensuing was kind of the inciting incident for Donna's memory to go, sort of remember stuff. So having a device where the Toymaker can go click his fingers and all of a sudden everyone's going mad again, it could be a thing that kind of triggers Donna a little bit memory-wise, and also like that whole business. So I definitely think the TV is going to play a role, and it just feels perfect for the Toymaker to do that, to manipulate human nature in that way, to basically control humanity in that way, basically as his own toys in a way. It makes sense.
It is going to be interesting as well, because I think there's also, like, slightly off topic, but I'm wondering about the incorporation of the, like, other, because Donna's family, we know, are a big part of episode 1, but how are they going to play into the whole plot? Because I feel like episode 2 we're going to be elsewhere, we won't have any of the noble family, but episode 3 we've already seen it filming. Bernard Cribbins was on set for that, so it's like, are the noble family affected by it? Because Wilfred isn't, Donna isn't, and the Doctor isn't. We've seen those three acting normally during that scene, but, like, would there be an effective scene where Donna goes home and her daughter's gone mental and all of this?
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah, no, I like that idea though.
And then there's the question of, as well, like, why is Wilf and Donna, why are both, I mean, Donna, you could argue she's got the meta-crisis stuff going on in her head, so that's fine, but why is Wilf fine? Why is Wilf not wanting to scrap everyone?
I like to imagine that he probably, like, the Toymaker could probably make him do it if he wanted to. I think the idea would be, like, this is one of my theories for just the specials as a whole, that, like, the nobles don't quite, like, kind of coming back to what we were saying about, like, the dating thing, they don't quite exist in just normal reality, but almost like their own little bubble. You know what I mean? Kind of in a similar vein to sort of like with Gallifrey being put in that bubble at the end of the 50th, where they're kind of, I think that's like how you could explain why, you know, the dates don't quite match up, because they're sort of frozen in this sort of state. So that could also explain why it doesn't affect the nobles, doesn't affect the Doctor, because the Toymaker doesn't want it to. But
I mean, if he's controlling the whole thing and he's drawing the Doctor and Donna back together, why wouldn't he also draw Wilf together with them? Because Wilf's an icon. And as you mentioned earlier, if there is this whole, like, allegory for the Toymaker almost being fans, or the fandom wanting their Doctor, wanting their companions and all of this, it gels together really nicely. I think, it's time we move on to what is kind of the point of this video, and it has escaped us for quite some time. But what we actually want to see from the trailer. I think I'll start off with, I would like to see Bernard Cribbins.
I agree. Now that was going to be my first thing as well. That was going to be my first thing.
Yeah, it is.
Give us some Bernard.
Yeah, a shame that he passed away before they finished filming. But David Tennant confirmed at a Comic-Con he is still going to be in the episode, and he was technically in the last trailer, because if you look at the bottom of that shot with Donna, it was that. So hopefully, just like a line from Bernard Cribbins or just something would be so nice, because and that slight sidetrack again, but how are they going to have incorporated that into the episode? Because obviously he passed away mid-filming, so I wonder if that is going to play a part in the story.
Yeah, because I remember reading, I think it was Doctor Who magazine, I want to say, something like that, that Russell T Davies said something about the Star Beast, and he said, oh, and of course Bernard Cribbins is back, obviously not as much as we wanted him to be, but he's still in it. So it implies that perhaps, obviously prior to what unfortunately happened, maybe Bernard Cribbins would have had a bigger role than he would perhaps now have. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they write around that. Maybe, like you say, maybe Unit is the one sort of taking care of him, I'm not sure. And that's kind of why, for the majority of the runtime, he's absent. And maybe Unit have a thing where they can, like, because they're monitoring the TVs, they can kind of be immune to it, maybe via, like, beauty techness. Because we've got Ruth Madley as well, which is another thing.
Thought, right? If we look in the promo image that we have released of Bonnie Langford as Mel, she's got a weird thingy on her arm, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Like you just said, that's a sort of piece of Unit technology that stops them almost having that TV mind control shtick going on.
Yeah. So do you think, that's another thing I was going to say, do you think Mel is definitely in the 60th? Because I know some people...
No way. She's definitely... I would put money on it. I reckon as well, Kate Stewart's back for Series 14. If you've got Unit, you're not going to not have Kate Stewart.
I think Kate will be there.
Osgood's a no-show, sadly. I think we'd know, like, there'd be murmurings of it.
I can't say I'm, like, gutted. I don't know. Osgood was never, like, a favourite. Like, I don't mind Osgood, but I was never like, oh my god, bring Osgood back, you know? Like,
I want Malcolm back.
I agree.
Imagine the scenes if, like, the Giggle's taking place, then Malcolm bursts in, and That would be.
And he'll fangirl over the Doctor again because it's the same face as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, it's you! Yeah, that'd be after all
I
these
think
years.
is it Lee Evans? I think he's retired.
Yes.
Thing now. Which
Oh,
yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll be seeing him in the trailer. But
imagine he just crops up. Like
it'd be funny.
the trailer ends, air date, and then boom, Malcolm, he's back. But yeah, anyway, what else do you want to see?
Something else I was going to bring up with you. This is probably a little bit more, I guess, subtle, but I'd like to hear some new Murray Gold music, actual, Doctor Who music, perhaps a remix, because he's been saying that he's been remixing some of the old tracks. I think because obviously a lot of the music we've been hearing from the 60 trailers has been like mostly like not stock music, but I mean music that's normally used in trailers. I don't think any of it is a unique piece to Doctor Who, at least not yet. And I was thinking about this as well. The Doctor Who concert happens just a few days after this. So if logically they were going to do a concert just after this trailer came out, makes sense to maybe show off some of the music prior to that and then maybe show it in the concert itself. So I think we could get a new piece or a new version of one of Murray's old tracks, possibly maybe Donna's, like maybe like an orchestral version of like, I don't know, Donna's theme or something, or Doctor Forever.
As you said, that concert's like right after. I wonder if they're going to show like a clip or something at the concert, or maybe play the trailer and have the live music played over it.
Yeah.
I think also like Russell is obviously next 2 months going to go mental with marketing. I reckon there is a high possibility we are going to get a clip, maybe the Doctor and Donna meeting or something from Camden Market we've already technically seen. And Russell from Doctor Who magazine, he said he's aware of that reconstructed scene.
Yeah.
So I reckon we might just put out the reconstructed scene because all the hardcore fans have basically already seen it. But yeah, no, that's going to be interesting. I also think in the trailer, I'd like to see an alien like that we don't already know.
In Doctor Who, I think you're asking too much. You're asking too much there.
Like obviously we've got Beep and we've got the Wraith Warriors, but from like the Wild Blue Yonder and the Giggle, we've seen no like aliens, and I want like a really weird high budget alien that makes me go, oh, that's cool. Because also
something different.
We haven't had like a new one in so long. Like I want something new.
The finger guy was the last one, wasn't he?
The what?
I don't think that like the finger, the can you hear me guy.
No, in the books there's like
there's
and
he's not a villain though. Carbonista's not a villain though, is he? He's like a friend. I guess you got the Grand Serpent, but he's not like a main villain. He's like a side. I don't know. Anyway,
moving on from Flux. Let's move on. What else?
What the Flux was that?
What else do you want to say?
What else do I want to see? I'd like to see, I think, a little bit more of, now that we know Miriam Margolyes is playing Beep the Meep, some more of Beep the Meep, because obviously we know it's Beep the Meep now. So maybe just, I don't know, a funny line from him, maybe like some of that. And I think also another thing I'd like to see would be some more of just the Toymaker in general. Because obviously most of what we've seen of the Toymaker is it's kind of just been quick shots, hasn't it? We've sort of seen a bit of him dancing around Camden Market and a bit of him going Weltweit Premiere in the German voice.
Is that the real Toymaker in this?
Yeah, that's it's me. Surprise! I just take off the mask. No,
I agree because we've only really seen like generic. He is the villain doing villainous things shots of like him dancing and him this. I want like an actual, I don't know, maybe a confrontation. But then also I don't this is the thing out of the trailer. I don't want to know the plot. I don't want to know what's happening. I don't want too much.
Well, the thing is, Russell is good at giving us trailers that hype us up without just telling you the plot. Series 4 is like a great example. It shows you like, oh, the Daleks are coming back, or what's all this going on? But like, it doesn't spoil like the big moments. Do you know what I mean? They didn't put like Donna's memory wipe in the trailer or anything like that. So I think like what you were saying, I think a monster would be cool. I think like some more of the Toymaker without being too spoilery and Beep. I did see, if you remember, way back to, I think one of Russell's Instagram posts, or maybe it was DW. I'm not sure which is which. He posts so much that it's hard to keep up with where it comes from.
Stream of stuff.
Yeah, there's constant stream of stuff. But if you remember, he did say there was a 90-second trailer, like a longer trailer planned for after Power of the Doctor, if you remember. And they didn't do it because they thought, well, it's Jodie's night, you know, we'll just do a little thing at the end. And then they did the Christmas trailer. So I'm wondering if that 90-second trailer or a version of it is what we will see next week. Possibly.
I reckon that's a possibility. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten that even happened, but yeah,
yeah.
I reckon. Also, that's the thing. I think someone like Mel should be in the trailer because
that would be fun.
But then, is it good to leave? Because we know she's in series 14, but because that's.
I think it's good to leave people guessing.
Yeah, how much surprise do you want? Like, and I want a lot to be surprised. Like,
do you reckon they'll show any of Wildly Yonder, or do you think they will just keep it completely locked down?
I hope not. Yeah, I hope not, because they can definitely create an awesome trailer from
1 and 3.
Yeah, what they've already got. Because the Beep the Meep stuff, all you need is to shove the Wraith.
I feel like most of the trailers will still be like episode 1, I would imagine. I think it's mostly going to be episode 1, which is fine. Just as long as we see some stuff that is like new. Because like one of the things I will say, obviously, I've been loving like all the little teasers, but like obviously a lot of people on Twitter kind of been saying these last few days, man, there's been a lot of screenshots from the same few bits. You know what I mean? So I think as long as it's like stuff we haven't quite seen, I think that'll be fine. You know,
I wonder as well about. Obviously, I don't think they're going to play a big part at all, but something like a Dalek in the trailer, because I watched this really interesting interview with Russell from 2005 before the series came back, and he's talking about it's essential in Doctor Who to have the iconography of the TARDIS, the screwdriver, and the Daleks, and we know they're such a big thing. So I don't know, because also to get the viewing figures in, even if it's a tiny reference, like a golden Dalek or a new Dalek or so, do you know what I mean? Maybe they'll be, because at the moment, the trailer, I don't think, the trailers we've got are brilliant, but I don't know as they fully capture the attention of the general public.
Yeah, they've not got that moment of, oh my God, what is that?
There's not, that's what I mean with an alien as well. We need some sort of proper, but I suppose we've got Meep, so yeah.
Other thing, when you're talking about the iconography, TARDIS, screwdriver, Dalek, TARDIS interior.
Yeah. I hope not. I want to.
Yeah.
Surprised. We've seen what it looks like, but
don't tell anyone
what it properly looks like without the leaks. I want to see on screen how it looks for the first time. So that's going to be.
No, I agree. I think if they've left it this long, they probably will now, because they did have like that TARDIS month, which did feel weird in retrospect, because you had like the Sonic Screwdriver month the month before, and then it's like, oh, this month's TARDIS month, so naturally everyone's going to expect you're going to show the TARDIS then, but they didn't. It's just TARDIS month.
TARDIS month.
But yeah, no, I think they probably will save it. But I'm just trying to think of like that one thing that they could show. Maybe some more shooty. That'd be nice, because we've only had that one line for like the last year.
Maybe we'll even get Tennant faced with Shooty. Like both of them looking.
That would be a moment where people would go, "Oh my God, they're both together!" Like that would probably do it.
I reckon. Yeah, that might be the end of the trailer. Actually, I reckon
that might do it.
It could go like what, and then Donna's what. Also, just do you know what?
That would be something that would get people happening. Also, I think Shooty Gat with Sex Education starts like around a similar time to when this trailer comes out.
Something of September.
21st, is it? Something like that. So dropping a trailer with Shooty in it exactly at the point where Sex Education hype is at its height. Like again, it's that thing of timing and Russell just knowing how the industry works. I think for whatever you're thinking about his episodes, he just knows the game of publicity for TV, I think. And also, I mean, we've seen it done before with the Barbie stuff. We'll have a Barbie TARDIS just there. We'll drop a new picture of Shooty in a cowboy hat when he's
thought of that. But it's genius, isn't it? Because you're gonna get everyone's gonna be like hyped over Sex Education series 4. It's the end of that show as well, so it's gonna be like a big this is sad. And then 2 days later we're gonna be greeted with Shooty hopefully facing David Tennant, and then the internet can blow up and go mental. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think I reckon there'll be a little surprise in the trailer that's just something small, like K9 or something. Do you know what I mean? Just like something small that's not a major part, but makes people go, "Oh, all right, that's my childhood. I like that." Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they won't reveal the TARDIS, but maybe they will show like a singular shot of like the TARDIS exploding or something like that.
Yeah.
Not something where we can see the full view of it, but do you remember like those? I think it's like Series 8. Do you remember those ones where it's like Capaldi and there's like an extermination effect and his like body goes all like hologrammy, X-ray, and then there's like a bunch of explosions on the console. I could see maybe a shot like that, which would be cool. I think they need something that shows off as well, because there's been a lot of talk about this new budget as well. So I'm wondering if they're going to show something that looks really impressive. I don't know what, but I'm just curious to see like, just something new. You know, I think maybe. Ooh, that's a point. I was thinking about this. They won't show the title sequence in the trailer, obviously, but maybe they could give us a shot of like what the new Vortex might look like. A little bit of a hint towards that.
Through it,
TARDIS going through it. Yeah.
You could even have, on that note, 2 TARDISes, because if you don't show Shooty and Tennant together, it's all. And we know Russell, just like both of us, he's a man of class. He loves clickbait.
He does, yeah.
Like, because I mean, you've got an episode called The Next Doctor, which doesn't feature the Next Doctor, but that's beside it. Having 2
the Doctor's daughter.
Exactly. 2 TARDISes spinning next to each other. That would get the internet going, is it Matt Smith? Is it Jodie Whittaker? Because if it's 2 Whittaker boxes, but then to the casuals, just 2 TARDISes, they won't know whose TARDIS is. It could, or it's a complete something mad like that.
Yeah, no, that's something like that. Yeah, I think just I don't want a huge amount of spoilers, but just like a sort of an elaboration on what's been seen before, I think is probably like the best way I can describe it. Something that like shows us what we've seen before, but like also shows new stuff. Because much as I enjoyed the May, do you remember the titles trailer? A lot of that was basically just what we'd seen before, but like a little bit more. And I think it'll probably be that approach again, but like sort of a bit more substantial. I hope it is 90 seconds. That would be nice.
Definitely.
Like a 1 minute 30.
I think a proper, because also I know we'll get like closer to the time little TV spots and whatnot.
Interviews, hopefully, would be nice. Get David Tennant on the.
I don't want too much revealed. I want it still to be. I think you're right. It needs to strike a good balance of just a little something new, which makes people go, oh, wait, that thing's there, and then the internet can talk about
something to carry us for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
I think until we get into October.
That thing probably. I don't know. It depends what the plot is, but having 2 doctors looking at each other, that might be the thing. I mean,
I think that would be an awesome trailer ending moment.
Yeah,
like, oh my god,
like proper oh my god moment that everyone would freak out at. But then it might also be too spoilery, because do you want to give away that the 2 doctors face each other? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then they've already had Shooty in the trailer going, what the hell is going on here? So it's kind of obvious that.
Yeah. At the very least, I think more Shooty would be nice, even if it's not with David. Just more of that, because the fandom is obviously excited for the 60th, but there's a lot of excitement for how is he going to play this new Doctor. Like, and I think just getting a little taste of that, a little bit of him in that role. A little bit of him doing something doctory. I don't know what, like sort of being like, I don't even really know, like him just trying to figure something out for a moment during the trailer, like just something a bit of like fluffy doctory dialogue. Just be like, oh my god, that's him as the Doctor. I think that in itself might get people excited, just to see him doing the Doctor after all this time.
How they always say, like I don't know, like trust me, I'm the Doctor. Just something like that. That's because I think Yasmin Finney talked about having scenes with Shooty Gatwa.
Yes.
So you could have like Yasmin Finney almost like a sub-companion for that episode with Shooty going like, Doctor, what's going to happen? And he's like, don't worry, I'm the Doctor.
Even him just saying something like, something's gone very wrong with time and the flow of events. We've got to solve it, or something like that. Something where it's like, oh, the new Doctor is like determined to solve this. I think ultimately, sort of if I could boil it down to 3, Bernard Cribbins would be lovely. I think people would love that. That would get people hyped. And I think loads of people want to see his final performance. Some more Shooty Gatwa, and I think just some elaboration on both Beep the Meep and the Toymaker probably would be my two, because now we know about Miriam Margolyes as well. You might as well show a bit more of Beep the Meep. And I think that would, if they did all that, and I think your ending would be fantastic if it was the two of them facing off. It would be a very hype trailer without giving away too much, because Wobbly Yonder would still be completely intact. We wouldn't know anything from that. Also, the dates. That's the other thing. The dates of when it's actually going to air would be nice as well.
I think, like, my head's just full of images now of, like, for example, like Donna and her daughter saying, like, "And who the hell are you supposed to be?" And then, like, Shooty just turns around, "I'm the doctor." Just, do you know what? Just something like.
And I can imagine the sass levels between Shooty Gatler and Catherine Tate. It's going to be great. It's going to be incredible to witness.
You could literally, you could have, like, Donna going, "Who the hell are you supposed to be?" Him turning around like, "I'm the doctor," and then Donna going like, "What?" And then end on Tennant, "What?" Just something like that. That's proper, like, boom.
Almost like a No Way Home type moment, almost kind of in that vein. Sort of like, you know, when they did that trailer, it's like, "Hello, Peter," and it's fucking Doc Ock being like, "Whoa."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, we'll start wrapping this up. In terms of air dates, you mentioned it a second ago before I started waffling about what Donna should say. But yeah, when do we think the trailer is 23rd of September? That's 2 months before the 23rd of November, which is the actual 60th. But if I'm right, it doesn't fall on a Saturday, does it?
It falls on a Thursday, I think. Yeah, Thursday.
So when do you reckon the episodes are actually going to air?
See, a lot of people have been saying they've been doing these things where it's like, oh, it's going to be released weekly, so every Saturday. I think it would be odd for them to put so much emphasis on the 23rd as a date and not put one of the episodes at least on the 23rd. I think that would feel odd if one of them wasn't, because I know you could say, "Oh, well, the 3 Doctors didn't actually air on the 23rd." It's like, yeah, but we're kind of used now to the 23rd being Doctor Who Day, in much the same way May 4th is like Star Wars, you know, Day, for example, where like they announce things. They've done that for a few years now. So I think it'd be weird for them not to put one out on the 23rd. So my assumption is they're going to do, and I know people don't want it, but I genuinely believe 23rd, Thursday, 24th, Friday, 25th, end it on the Saturday, tie it in Strictly as well. So I think maybe that's going to be still on by then. I don't know. It's always on. I don't know. You know, it always
it never ends.
Yeah. You know, end it on a Saturday, which is Doctor Who's natural home, and then also it's exactly 1 month between that and the Christmas special. Then, so it's a nice little segue into that. So I think, thinking about the way they've done it, how they've done the exact dates and like months to the day, I think a month between the final 60th special and the Christmas special would make perfect sense. So that's my guess.
I hope that happens. I don't know. I've also thought monthly. It's not going to happen, but
nah, we're too close for monthly now. I think we're too close for monthly at this point.
If you think about, obviously, the Chibnall marketing team is of its own existence, but Flux, the trailer came out a month before it aired, and if there's a trailer on the 21st of September, that's a month. No, 23rd of September. That's a month before the 23rd of October. Then a month, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I think 2 months is pretty like standard for, especially for a 60th as well. I think like that's close enough where people aren't going to be like, "Oh, it's bloody ages away," but it's like it's far away enough where it's yeah, because like I remember people saying when the Christmas one happened, and I didn't really share this criticism, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's too early in that," and I kind of get where people were coming from, but I think it didn't show too much. So I always felt like it was a good little treat on Christmas Day. That's what I always saw the Christmas trailer as. And it feels like, because obviously I have a funny feeling they maybe wanted to do one for like Comic-Con, but that fell through because of writer strikes and stuff. So September feels like, especially with Strictly, like the natural point where you'd launch it. So yeah, I think 23rd of November, 24th, 25th. I know some people want it weekly, but it's awkward because either you do it like every Thursday, which is like, what's that? You know, no one watches Doctor. Like,
also, you want Doctor Who in the prime prime time.
Yeah.
I reckon
because that way you get to have your cake and eat it, don't you?
Yeah.
You get to have it on the 23rd, which is the big day. We all know it's Doctor Who Day, and also the 25th, which is a Saturday, which is kind of big slot.
Especially as well, I reckon
sense.
on that Saturday, because obviously there's the whole people binge watching stuff now. On that Saturday, they'll play all 3 episodes, so that a lot of people probably won't watch Thursday, which is a shame.
Yeah,
they probably won't. But come Saturday, everyone's
going to be watching the finale.
Yeah,
that's actually something I was going to mention as well. Like, how do you think? I genuinely don't know how this is going to work. How do you think it's going to work with the Disney Plus end of things? Because there's no live release, as far as I'm aware, for like Disney Plus. Like, it just drops, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So is it going to drop before the UK release or after? Because if they drop it before, all the UK fans get it spoiled by Americans just go to the end and be like, oh my god, this happens. But if you do it the other way around, then obviously UK fans are seeing it before US fans are, and obviously other territories as well. So I'm going to be curious to see how they handle that.
I think that they should, as soon as the episode's ended, whack it on Disney Plus, because if you remember way back, Revolution of the Daleks,
yes, oh god, that is a while ago now.
That got put out on iPlayer like a minute before the episode aired, and already on Twitter, people were just skipping through, and it's like, whoa, stop, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't want that again.
That would happen, but also, I don't know, like. Yeah, no, I think it's not our fault. You're American, guys.
No,
you're American.
British show. Speak for me.
The British show. Like it is what it is. If it comes out right when the episode ends, I think that's fair, because then it avoids spoilers.
Final thing I want to add on terms of scheduling and release dates. There was announced a while ago, if you remember, a CBBC takeover thing for like Doctor Who, like they were going to be doing a Doctor Who takeover on CBBC. So maybe, I don't know whether they'll show like some old Doctor Who episodes on there, probably like series 4 possibly, or maybe, you know, dare I even say it, some old Sarah Jane episodes on CBBC, which would be mental throwback.
Yeah.
I'd love that. Because they've got, you know, they've sorted it out with all the iPlayer and stuff as well. So I see no reason why they couldn't. And all that Blue Peter stuff as well. So yeah, it seems like there's going to be a lot going on in the next couple of months, and I'm getting very excited now. It's just
I think this
final stretch.
Truly where the new era begins. Like, once this trailer comes out, I think it's not going to stop for the next 5 years or so. Until Russell goes, it's not stopping. This trailer's coming out, then marketing series, Christmas marketing series, spin-off, and it's going to be magical. I genuinely can't wait. But yeah, I think that is a good place to wrap up this very long video. And I will just say in the comments, let me know if you like this style of content, because it's quite easy to make, isn't it? Just sit down and have a nice chat. So it's and especially because I've spent so much time making the fan films and stuff at the moment. Making videos is something I'm really passionate about, but having the time to sit down and edit fully is very difficult. So this long form discussion, let me know if you'd like to see more. Let me know if you want me to bin off Tharries and get someone else back in these videos, because there's a universe of Doctor Who people out there. But
there is.
Anyway, thank you very much for coming on, Tharries.
That's all right, no worries.
And we'll end
where my man.
Let us know in the comments. Should I keep him, or should I return it to its home?
Please return it. My desk feels lonely without it. Look, it's just on its own, you know.
I know. You've got
to see its rested comments.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Go and subscribe to Tharries. There's a link.
See you in a bit. Yes, do that. Goodbye, everybody.
Press the stop button.